Hello and welcome back to another Satisfactory guide, and today, following on from last week's video on creating train junctions, and after lots of interest during our megafactory build tips, I thought it would be nice to cover the rail designs that I've developed and used in my saves, as well as some future ideas for you, and at the end we'll also be talking about how I do my lights. Now I'll cover a variety of styles, but you can also find a lot of inspiration in our regular fan factory tours, so for other ideas, do check the series out. I'll put one of the episodes in the cards above for you to check out now. I should also mention that if you're struggling to build a working train line, you should also check out my previous recent video on trains, but without further ado, let's jump into it. The first designs that we're going to cover are the tunnel ideas, which are great if you're running a train line through or under your base. Generally speaking, I favour the half wall pipe approach, opting for a more underground feel, but this does have its limits. For example, making turning corners limited due to the lack of types of half wall pipes that we have currently available. These tunnels can be built easily. A single tunnel is 4 half pipes put together with a line on the inside. It gives you just enough space and is perfect for straight lines, and as for a double line, it requires a foundation space between the half pipe walls with a roof, and I tend to go for a gentle sloped roof with a glass center, giving it extra light. I also tend to add walls on the outside, and I'm looking forward to using this more as we build our megafactory for the lower levels. The other tunnel option is a regular rectangular box. This is great for displaying the rails inside your factory, and I've seen been used in Fan Factory a few times to great effect. And also it does make it much easier doing this to make rail corners, unlike the tunnels we've just covered. I also have a tunnel system that combines both styles and adds a little more complexity, but we'll cover that one a little bit later on. Next, we shall look at more open lines. Of course, the easiest line that can be done is one that just follows naturally along the flow of the terrain, or is placed on a single foundation. Both can look great, but I personally don't feel they blend that well with the terrain or in a factory setting. So I would like to offer a couple of solutions. Inside a factory, I love the idea of using the half pipe foundations to create little canals. You'll actually have seen this with the use of pipes in my streams or Let's Play series, but this is the same approach that I would like to display within my factory eventually. This system takes a half pipe setup like the tunnels, then adds a foundation inside to give the train line this slightly raised look. Now it works perfectly like a platform and can work really well alongside the train tunnel designs. However, once again, shares the same problem when it comes to corners. It's a little bit difficult, so works best for straight lines. I then have my most popular system due to its ease of use, lifting the rails onto a short platform with foundation ramps sloping off to the either side. I feel this is one of the best approaches to blending the rails into the terrain, as the foundations can clip inside of the terrain slightly whilst leaving the rails clip free. It's also really easy to do the corners, although I tend to opt for gentle turns using the foundation's down ramps to create this diagonal causeway rather than a quick 90-degree turn. This also works great for multi-line tracks, although placement can sometimes be a little bit of a pain to get right. With this system, all you need to do is place down a single foundation for the rails to run on, or 2 foundations if running 2 lines, then use the diagonal ramps either side. You can also blend the whole system thanks to us having the diagonal down ramps. The biggest problem with this system, however, is that it takes a little bit more time in terms of work to get right, and this can be frustrating sometimes finding the right position for the rails. Before we move on, I wanted to add another junction to the series, which I forgot to mention in the last junctions video. It's a simple A interchange, but allows trains on a single line to cross onto each other's lines. This is a simpler version of a single T-junction, and is also done by placing a 90-degree turn first, followed by connecting both of the ends of the turn into the apex above the corner. This won't be great if you have multiple trains on a line, but would perhaps be useful for a personal train line. The next thing that I wanted to show you was some examples of raised train lines. A lot of these follow a similar approach to ones that you've already seen. For example, this raised rail is exactly the same as the previous design that we've just done, except we've added an inverted ramp underneath and slightly inserted the pillars to blend it together a little more. And you've probably seen this in my stream save with multiple lines on it. You may also have seen a diagonal section that can easily blend into this one as seen here, except for this I clipped the diagonal down ramps into the top to create these rectangular platforms where the lights are placed. This gives it a much chunkier feel to it, and so accordingly I've used much larger supports which I've walled to make them stand out, and depending on the length of the track, the lights can really make your train line stand out. I've also seen some rail designs use foundation sparingly with just a small platform holding up sections of the track. This can look great, but generally speaking I prefer a more built up look. That being said, with the variety of biomes we have, there is no reason why the further out we go across the map, the less we can have our developed looking infrastructure. That being said, I love the look of the frames being used to support railway lines, especially along the dune cliffs. It very much reminds me of the old Western style bridges, and I certainly feel that they can be used to great effect in this game. However, as a more engineered option, I love the idea of supports being placed intermittently into the sides of cliffs, with the frame suspending the tracks along with a glass foundation to give it this clean look. You'll often see me using these inverted ramps leading into sections. I feel it makes them look more supported, and so is something that I use often. Here is a little frame bridge that I've developed, then built the foundations into these frames. Notice how I used the ramps into the pillars to make them look more supported. Returning to my sloped approach, I've also tried larger, wide-spanning rails. I love this approach which blends all the techniques along with adding wide supporting arches. I feel this would look great alongside a large factory if suspended above it, with the factory or potentially other logistic lines beneath. A lot of all of this does come down to experimentation, and sometimes just adding a little rail on the side of the foundation can make the train line look much better. This very much falls though to personal taste, what you like to see. Now I have two other train line examples. The first is a tunnel or station look that combines the rectangular box tunnel with this curved pipe tunnel. This is definitely over-engineered, but I feel looks great. We have sunken outer pipes along the walls and then added an upper half pipe. I've also added pipe supports to make it look supported and have then run the rails in the middle alongside a rail guard. Now I wouldn't use this throughout my builds because it takes so much work to develop, but it really can make for a beautiful station idea. I've also developed a sloped bridge which certainly looks a little quirky with it looking curved, but this shows how much a little playing with the foundation types can really pay off. I've also added double rail guards to the interior of the walls and doubled the lights to give this inside this particular look. These rail designs aren't to say that what you need to do, but hopefully it just gives you a little inspiration to play more around with your own designs should you wish to make rails a larger focal point for your builds. In a moment, I'll also show you how I've done these particular lights, but if you found this video helpful and deserving, why not drop a thumbs up? It'll help the video reach others and also help my channel out. Anyway, the double lights I think look great, however this can only be done using the micromanage mod. It's simple enough to do, but I know that some people prefer to play modless, which is their choice, so we can only hope that Copy Stain add this ability to clip lights into the vanilla game. Now, if you're happy to use mods, this is simply done by blending two lights facing opposite directions with a power pole. These are then connected to the power pole, and the power is brought down through to a power joint that is under the flooring, giving it this gorgeous freestanding look. I hope you've enjoyed the tip, and more importantly, the rest of the video. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and thank you so much to our amazing supporters, most notably our Solar Eclipse Patreons, the Calamity and Cerebral Tag, as well as our Lunars, Dixie Chris and James Irwin, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which is Jonah Dent. Anyway, guys, until next time, as always, ciao for now.